Welcome to week 5 of the Holistic Psychology Workshop. In this week's workshop, we're going to cover the Panacea acronym C, which stands for compassion and empathy. And this is one of my personal favorites, but we're also going to be addressing forgiveness and additional healing exercises in this module that will be very beneficial.
Yeah, the step 5 is compassion, empathy to heal interrelational dynamics. So we do have a 4-step love model that will help to engender forgiveness and understanding, if that should be anything anyone needs. So you can put these particular practices, methods into practice to transform your relationships and help to also optimize communication. So just jumping right in what way do you want to be acknowledged by others that you can acknowledge yourself? And what do you want that you feel in your heart that you are worthy or more deserving of? We generally need to practice more love and compassion for ourselves as well. And if we don't feel that we're practicing it for others, that's typically an indicator that we need to also practice it from within, right? Because as within, so without.
So moving right along to compassion and understanding. Oftentimes, the stories we tell ourselves about why others behave the way they do does not always agree with the facts. We may not agree with the choices or the behaviors of others, nor do we fully understand the reasons for them. Yet there is always an explanation. Realize that every person has inherited their own set of beliefs and have experienced personal misfortunes that have influenced their life choices and behaviors, regardless of how dysfunctional or maladaptive they may seem. While this does not necessarily justify negative or irrational behavior, learning the facts can enable us to have a change of heart toward others that we may have previously misjudged, including parents or other family members. Once we begin to recognize the negative influences that molded the weaknesses and shortcomings of another, we can begin to discover a more compassionate perspective while gaining a deeper understanding of those who may have wronged us or have behaved poorly.
And we can gain a healthier self-awareness and develop even that greater ability to express compassion by examining the following questions. 1, where are you withholding love and compassion? Are you withholding love from yourself, from a spouse, a coworker, a family member, or any others? And how do you commonly express love? Or how can you start to demonstrate more compassion towards this individual or yourself?
How well are you able to look at the pain within yourself and recognize the hardships others are going through or have endured? And how can you start to demonstrate more compassion toward them? How can you respond differently in your daily interactions to show more love and compassion? Reflect on the love model and determine one or more of the corresponding acronyms below that you can improve upon. L stands for listen. Can you listen more patiently without interruption, correcting, advising, or anticipating your turn to speak? And we could all improve at that at times, myself included. O represents objectivity. Are you able to remain objective, non-judgmental, and without reacting to obtain the necessary information that the other is communicating? V represents validate. So are you willing to become less attached to your perspective to validate the other party's point of view and deepen your understanding, such as expressing that you can understand the pain or hardship the individual may be facing? You can ask what they're needing and how you can be more supportive. And make sure you validate your own feelings as well. Validation is an extremely important step in the love model. And lastly is E for empathize. Can you become better at empathizing with each other to help one another feel heard and understood by relating? Just reflect on areas that where you can improve.
And do you hold a secure space to also actively listen to the emotional needs of others, whether they're your friends, family, and partners, that allows them to feel safe to speak their truth? And can you see yourself or others as a person that's essentially drowning, who is trying to survive or enduring a similar struggle, perhaps maybe demonstrating more compassion?
Rather than project judgment, anger, or use other maladaptive behaviors, can you find a way to create a new sense of compassion instead, such as using the mirror technique or the love model?
Every individual generally seeks love or validation from a particular parent and may carry a void or hold some level of anger, resentment, or bitterness from that parent or caregiver due to the perception of an unmet need, whether it's emotional or physical. So which parent or caregiver did you desire more love or affection from, and how did you feel that it was lacking in the way that you perhaps desired it? If you believe that you are currently trying to do your best, then do you also believe that your parents or caregiver tried their best with what they had in your childhood?
Once we can feel compassion for our parents or caregivers and the challenges they have endured, we can begin to demonstrate forgiveness toward them, such as any feelings of resentment that we had and held, and start putting an end to the perpetual genetic tendency. What is a generational pattern that has continued to be passed down or run in your family because it has not been fully healed or addressed? And a follow-up question: is this generational pattern the same as your presenting problem? It may or may not be the presenting problem you're working on, or it may be connected and related.
And if you do not feel that you have tried to do your best or are currently trying to do your best, then ask if you've experienced any guilt, shame, or regret. And what would you say that there is maybe a strong probability that that is also true for your parents or even other caretakers? Would you agree that your caretakers may have attempted to prevent you from repeating their same hardships or lessons, regardless of their approach and despite even their epigenetic tendencies?
It may come more naturally to extend compassion and concern for the next generation. And some of us may fail to extend that same level of concern or compassion for the generations that preceded us, such as our parents and grandparents. Their parenting methods may have presented as overprotective and smothering, strict or controlling, or even neglectful, distant, or detached. However, regardless of their methods, knowing they have also suffered hardships, can you give them more grace by directing some of the compassion you have for the younger generation towards your parents or other caregivers?
And because forgiveness is key to reclaiming our power, whatever we struggle to forgive and accept in others is likely what we will struggle to accept and forgive in ourselves, because we judge in others what we judge in ourselves, and we will see life through our own filters, which is the mirror technique. So with that in mind, just ask if you can forgive others for the area you have been holding them accountable, maybe for your own, if you've experienced any cognitive dissonance, or such as your perceptions and judgments towards them. So if you can, make a list of what you love, value, and appreciate. Include what you love or value and appreciate about your parents or even your presenting problem. So if you can, take a look at it as an example of what maybe you've learned, or even if it's what to be or not to be. And in what way do you want to be valued and appreciated by others that you can also value and appreciate yourself? Take a moment to make this list. If you can list 3 to 5, then bonus. If more, even better. The idea is to start stimulating that part of the brain that releases the serotonin to increase the gratitude for what you have, and even in the challenges that you're facing, maybe what you're learning. What is something you love about it? What is something you can appreciate or value about it?
And if there is a challenge, know that you have the equal and opposite propensity to be able to experience its duality, its opposite. Where can you demonstrate more love and acceptance for yourself and from others that you've been desiring it from? And in what ways do you want to be acknowledged by others that you can acknowledge for yourself?
This was a pretty short module today. So next week we will cover step 6 of the panacea, evaluate growth and gain gratitude. Again, my favorite, so I'm really looking forward to that one. So this concludes week 5 of our holistic psychology workshop. Now it's time for our live Q&A.